surprisingly, and they're going to finish the
This isn't Madden.
Yeah, the Fredonia men's soccer team lost both of their games on the weekend road trip. I guess.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sports Hour, our first show of the new semester. I am Kevin Syracuse, joined with Anthony Flores and Aaron Sember. How were your summers?
All I'm going to say is I'm glad I'm back. That's it.
Depressed because work all day, every day is not fun.
First internship was interesting, but I'm glad I'm back. That's all I got to say.
I'm happy to be back too.
Right, me too, for our first show. So let's get started. For men's soccer, the Fredonia men's soccer team lost both games of their weekend road trip, losing 2-0 to New Paltz on Friday and 5-1 to Oneonta on Saturday. In Friday's game, 3 different Blue Devils recorded a shot on goal, while junior goalkeeper Ty Bentham made 5 saves. In Saturday's game, sophomore midfielder Dominic Monti scored Fredonia's lone goal, while junior forward Conrad Rathbun was credited with the assist.
These names again.
The Blue Devils dropped to 0-2 in SUNYAC play and 2-5-1 overall.
Oh, God.
And they return home this weekend for a pair of games versus Brockport and Geneseo. And for women's soccer, they were picked to finish last in the SUNYAC in the preseason poll, but they recorded wins in both of their games this weekend after beating New Paltz 3-1 on Friday and Oneonta 2-0 on Saturday, improving to 4-4 overall and 2-0 in SUNYAC play. Abby Price, Aaron Pratt, and Danielle Spring scored on Friday, while Haley Elsie and Karen Johnson scored on Saturday. The women's soccer team is back in action tonight, currently, at Allegheny, before returning to SUNYAC competition this coming weekend. Friday is at Brockport and Saturday is at Geneseo.
The women's volleyball team had a successful weekend as they had 3 matches of pool play at Cortland University. They went 2-1 on Saturday, beating Buffalo State and Cortland. They nearly beat Brockport, the defending conference champions, as they lost in the final set. They are now 9-5 on the season, with their next game tomorrow night in Dodds Hall against Allegheny. And for women's tennis, Fredonia's program, best 8-match winning streak in women's tennis, ended Saturday with a 6-3 loss to the defending SUNYAC champs Geneseo. Sophomore Sarah Buck earned 2 points for the Devils. She won her number 3 singles match and teamed with freshman Michaela Johnson to win the number 2 doubles. Fredonia's 3rd point came from the number 1 doubles team of senior Olivia Miller and junior Anna Chichia. The women's tennis team is 8-1 overall, and they're 1-1 in the SUNYAC. The team is currently playing in progress versus DeUville in Jamestown.
All right. So good luck to all of our college sports teams here. So let's switch gears to the NFL because that is our main topic of discussion. So what are your guys' thoughts to the first 3 weeks of the NFL season?
I know he's loving his team right
Yep.
now. Kansas City's off to a hot start.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes is playing his mind out. He's a great player, and he's running the run for MVP, and it's only week 3. And
13 touchdowns.
13
most by any
touchdowns.
quarterback in the first 3 games of the season to start a season.
Thank you guys for hyping him up. But
I'm a Patty Mahomes fan. When I watched him, I was looking into him
Yeah.
because you always talked about how much you liked him, and I was like, yeah, I like this guy. Really into his big arm, his power, and he's a 3-sport
He's humble,
athlete.
too.
I love
He's
humble
humble.
players. My
That's
favorite
the best
favorite
part.
basketball player is Kawhi. He's humble, so I like Patty Mahomes a lot because he's humble. That's a really good quality to have in a leader and a quarterback. I'm happy with my team, the Panthers. I'm excited. I mean, we lost 1 game to the Falcons, but that was the one bad game we had. Our defense was lacking. The offense was struggling. But, this past week we got 3 interceptions, and, we got another win, and Cam Newton's playing pretty well, and Norv Turner's an offense good. He's not a genius, but he's doing really good with this Cam Newton run offense, something better than Dave Shula did last year. I hated that guy so much. Jesus Christ. But, yeah, I mean, the Panthers are playing really well, and I can see them finishing at least 2nd or 1st in the division. I'm excited for the rest of the season.
And for my team, the Bills, after a historically terrible start, we pulled off the stunning victory Sunday against one of the best teams, or supposedly one of the best teams.
I mean,
On paper, the Vikings are a great team. And last semester, I always said I defended Kirk Cousins because he's a gunslinger. He can get the yards. He can get you wins. But at the same time, I'm realizing that man's really inconsistent, and he's not elite. He's a good quarterback. He's not elite. He's not gonna. You have in any sport, you have superstars. You have all-time greats, which is above the superstars, and you have decent players and role players and stuff like that. And he's more of just a good player. He's not. I don't see him being able to reach that elite tier. And so the Vikings' offense struggled because of that, his inconsistency, and their defense played terrible when they're expected to be great, which is really surprising.
what do you think of Josh Allen going forward?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
I said you guys should have started him since the beginning of the season. I was like, why are you putting? When I heard Nate Peterman, I was like,
5-pick Peterman.
I thought you guys are stupid. I know you think you understand he knows the playbook more than Allen, but still, Allen's better. And when they put Peterman and showed the first game, the second game it was Allen's first start, so I was going to understand there's going to be some jitters and he wasn't going to be his best. And this game, it really showed he progressed, and he had, 2 touchdowns rushing and 1 passing, I believe. And he had a great game.
Yeah.
They need to give him some time.
I mean, coming into the season, Nathan Peterman did win the job. I mean, after he did have, as we all know.
The thing I don't understand is, I watched the game after A.J. McCarron won them that game in overtime during the preseason, and then they shipped him right off. I don't even know where
he got
he
hurt.
went.
I'm pretty sure he got hurt, right?
No, they just traded him for a
They
5th-round draft pick.
That's ridiculous.
Like
I mean,
right after.
I thought they injured.
24
I thought he got
hours
injured.
after that game, I think they traded him.
Yeah, I think it was the next day. Yeah, 'cause
Well,
it was
it's
on
the
a Friday.
Bills. You know how the Bills are.
Well, yeah, like I was saying, I agreed with Sean McDermott's call to start Peterman this year. He
I didn't.
had a really
I
good
did
preseason, and I just figured
Preseason is not.
Preseason's
Not the big boys. Preseason's the second stringers, maybe, if you're lucky, with some occasional like a drive for the starters. But then the rest is the third and fourth string. Like it's those little boys he's playing against.
Well, yeah,
he's not
but
playing against the starters of every team.
I think the plan was to ease Josh Allen into the league because the offensive line, as we know, the Bills' offensive line is not.
The Bills'
they have been
offensive line is cancerous. It's completely garbage. And as a Panthers fan who's had seen a Panthers old line be garbage for all Cam Newton's career, I know old lines are bad, but yours is god awful.
They have been better as of late, but like I was saying,
Shady almost broke his whole rib cage because he got.
You can't.
The plan was to let Allen ease into the league. That's why
I
starting
felt he was the type
Peterman
of player though
because
that like he could come in and do good right away.
Because he had a good preseason, and last year is like an absurd game. Like no one throws 5 picks, so it's like all right, forget about that.
They set him up. They put him against the Chargers D.
Kind of lead our offense until Allen's ready. But Peterman was just so bad in the first week that he had no choice but to go with Allen.
I was very shocked,
And
like when you just told me that they traded A.J. McCarron because I thought he got hurt, and the
No,
fact that you would trade McCarron and keep Peterman is just
In the preseason.
a really stupid move.
I was watching the game. They were down by I don't even know, it was like 17, and A.J. McCarron brought them back to a victory on the last second of the game. I don't remember.
that was a great win.
But I was just
I know they're trying to build up some draft picks, but at the same time, if Allen gets hurt now,
you're going to build up some draft picks, all right.
Now we have Peterman as
You're
our
going to have some
backup,
number ones for a couple of years at that point.
But I really like the way Josh Allen has looked. He's come in, he's looked really well with his arm and his legs. He was 15 of 22 for 196 yards and a touchdown, and then he ran 10 times for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns, and one of those rushes he completely hurdled Anthony
that.
Barr.
That was nice.
I saw the hurdle.
But
that is awesome.
But besides all our teams, obviously the league is filled with great teams. And there's a lot of news going on. Like we're surprised Miami starting off 3-0. The Bears are starting off 3-0. Khalil Mack is showing the Raiders why they made a grave decision to let him go because he is an all-time great at his position on the defensive.
He's pissed.
He is
You
angry.
can
He
tell
has
he's
he has a
pissed.
sack and a forced fumble each game he's played. And he has a touchdown or two. Like that man is balling, and
He is a beast.
it shows like John Gruden. He's not what he used to be. He's not a coach. He's not smart in this today's football.
Yeah,
age.
and he was quoted as saying it's hard. Something can't remember the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of it's hard to find a great pass rusher these days. It's like
You had one of the greatest in the
Exactly.
NFL right now. Currently in
What do you guys think of the Bucks?
Fitzpatrick has his magical days. I mean, he showed him. He showed it. He showed
Fitzpatrick cycle.
Fitzmagic.
It's
great. Garbage grade.
no, it's like starter. Like wins a starting role, does garbage, gets hurt.
Does-
and then it keeps
Or
going.
Fitzpatrick
something
circle of
happens.
life.
He's forced in a starting role. Does great, but then sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tampa. I think Tampa is still a team to fear, and especially if they keep Fitzpatrick. Everyone has one bad game, a couple bad games in the season, but he's the type of he was balling the first 2 weeks, so I think he can have another good season. Like he showed when he went 10 and 7 with the
remember
Jets.
the
And-
Jets,
yeah, he had a great
2015?
season. Like
Yeah.
there's something in Fitzmagic. He's a solid veteran.
And he just set the record for. He's the only quarterback to throw 3 straight weeks of over 400 yards.
And there's just so much else going on. Baker Mayfield came in. They
I was
finally
just
gave him
gonna
the
say.
chance. I was so happy to see him come in. And I was like, I want to see the Browns win. He ended up giving them a win. That's something to be positive about because literally, 635 days, 4 Star Wars movies, 6 Marvel movies, and they have not won a game. And that's really something for Browns fans to be happy about because he seems something positive. And they were losing. They were down by a lot, and he still came in and won them the game. That's a great positive for that fan base that they really deserve for being such loyal fans.
And how about not just Baker, but all of the rookie quarterbacks, other than Lamar Jackson, or all of the rookie quarterbacks that were taken high in the draft, are all starting now because Baker beat out Tyrod. Josh Allen beat out Peterman. Josh Rosen starting now for Sam Bradford. Sam Darnold starting for the Jets. And I feel like I'm forgetting one more. Am I forgetting one more?
You might be, but it's all right. Let's continue.
But they've all come in,
Yeah.
and you can tell that these
guys are ready.
they're ready.
They're ready to
and,
make a
like,
change.
They're
And
going to be the franchise quarterbacks for years to come.
within these, like you said, these years to come, as they develop and show progress and greatness in their skill set for their teams, it's going to be awesome to see a shift in the NFL landscape, because we're going to see teams that were awful for so long, or teams that were inconsistently awful. There might be a rise in the shift. Like, we've had the Patriots, the Steelers, the Packers. We've had those type of teams run the league for a while now. Now we're going to see maybe future new teams. You might see the Cardinals, the Bills, the Jets, stuff like those type of teams. And that's going to be interesting, because then it's just a whole shift.
Something different.
It's something different, and that's going to be great to see.
More enjoyable.
All right, that will wrap up our first segment. We will be back in 2 minutes to continue talking about the NFL.
I'll be right back.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Back. So let's talk some more NFL here. So quick look at the standings. As we were saying, the Dolphins are 3-0 right now. They're atop of the AFC East, and the Patriots are on the bottom of they're tied for second.
I like the Dolphins.
It's the AFC East standings right now
like
are
Tampa.
the Dolphins, and then tied for second are the Patriots, Bills, and Jets. They're all 1 and 2. And as a Bills fan, I am so happy to see the Patriots down there with us. I mean, I know that's probably
We
gonna
suck,
change,
but I'm happy
but
they're sucking with us.
Yeah.
That's something to be positive, I guess. No, but it's
But-
good. I think it's going to be. I feel like a lot more teams are giving the Patriots a harder time. They're not just backing down. Teams are getting better. So, like, the Patriots can't just roll over anyone that they play, so, especially in the AFC, where AFC is more of a weaker conference compared to the NFC. So, I mean, like, it's going to be like a nice little struggle for me, who can get second, or if Miami starts to struggle, who's going to take first. It's competitive for final.
And you know that the Patriots are going to get good, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But and
I mean,
especially
they don't
now,
really have. I mean, yeah, are you going to say Josh Gordon?
Josh Gordon and Julian Edelman is
He's
coming back.
Oh, I mean, Julian Edelman is going to be a major boost. Josh Gordon, I think he can be great. I mean, I think it was foolish of the Browns to let him go, but I don't think he's going to be able to produce right away for the Patriots, especially since he went from. I know he says he's a changed man, but he went from a very lenient and really dumb franchise to a very strict and established franchise. So like they're not going to be really tough on him. It might be a hard adjustment for him. I think it might be.
Yeah. And before we leave the AFC East, I just want to say another thing about the Bills. In the first week, they played so much zone against the Ravens, 47-3. There was so much cushion, and it would be 3rd and 5, and the Bills were giving them 10 yards, and we made Flacco look like an all-pro.
The thing is with Flacco, I feel like the same thing. I talked about this last semester. It was like the same thing with Alex Smith.
He reminds me of Kirk Cousins too.
When they drafted Mahomes, you could tell that Smith was angry, and you know that Smith didn't want to lose that spot. It's the same thing with Flacco when they drafted Jackson. You could tell he's upset. He doesn't like that, so he's gonna ball out. You saw what Smith did last year. He balled out, and then they traded him. But
yeah,
I guess it's because they thought like Mahomes was ready, and obviously it showed 3 weeks in. I mean, it's still early, but 13 touchdowns. I think he's ready. But
yeah. But as for the Bills' defense, they played so much zone, and Flacco did play good, especially for being in the rain.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was pretty easy. And then I really like the adjustments that they made at the second half. Yeah, in the second half of last week's game against the Chargers, because it was another blowout.
The Vikings?
No,
last week?
last week.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. My bad.
Against the Chargers, yeah, because it was.
Yeah. I got you.
What was the score? I think it was like 28-6 at halftime. It was another blowout. It was terrible. And
I mean,
they made some adjustments at halftime, and McDermott started calling the plays. And I noticed they started playing a lot more man, and they started blitzing a lot more. And then now this week, Leslie Frazier was back to calling plays. But still, they ran a lot more man, and they put so much pressure on Cousins. Between Jerry Hughes, Trent Murphy, Star Lutulele, Kyle Williams, like there was so much pressure, and I think they need to stick to this format now going forward, because now we have the Packers and then the Titans coming up at home. But
Titans aren't really too much to worry about. But Aaron Rodgers, of course, is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So I think I knew that you said I'm happy that you said McDermott came in and started calling plays, because McDermott is a great defensive mind. As a Panthers fan, he was my defensive. I was so sad to see him go, but he deserves a head coach spot. And now he made the adjustments. He showed his defensive coordinator, these are the adjustments you need to make. This is what you need to do more. And when he came back in, Leslie Frazier, you said he started doing more what McDermott was doing, was man and blitzes, and it works. I'm glad to see McDermott shows that he's capable of being a good head coach. I love to see any coach or even any Panthers coach or player do good after they leave.
And another quick note about the Bills, they pulled off that stunning upset over the Vikings without LaShawn McCoy. He was dealing with those ribs injury, and then he's still under investigation for that home invasion over the summer. So they could be without him for more time, but it looks like he's going to play this week, so that will only help our offense and help Josh Allen to be even better.
I think
so.
Wouldn't you say though that even though LaShawn McCoy is one of the better running backs over the last 5 or 10 years, wouldn't you say that a ground and pound running back like Chris Ivory would kind of be better for Allen too, because it's kind of relieves the load more.
It just depends on the type of offense.
With
you run,
Shady, you'd pass it to him.
Some offenses are faster, some are more tough.
Yeah, he did pass to Ivory a few times.
Ivory, I think, was the leading receiver.
Yeah, 70 yards on 3 catches. Wow. Yeah. But I honestly, Ivory is good, and I see what you're saying, but you can't replace McCoy.
Of course, I'm not saying that.
It's going to be such a boost to our offense. He's going to make Allen's performance that much better and really help him to develop. And he's really expressed some good leadership too. He's been on the sidelines, pumping up the defense and the special teams, and it's just great to see from such a young quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And now for other games, we got New Orleans playing Atlanta, and New Orleans won 43-37 after overtime. NFC South teams, we used to be the worst division in football a couple years ago, but I'd say we are now the best, especially with the possible rise of Tampa, because New Orleans, Drew Brees is amazing. That defense has really grown. They used to be really awful, the weakest link, and now they've grown to a solid defense for the most part. And then you have Atlanta, who's been a threat for my Panthers and for the NFC South as a whole in general for the last couple of years, because Matt Ryan, and you got their great running backs, a great wide receiver core, good defense, stuff like that. So this NFC South game, I say, was one of the best games of the week, because again, high scoring, but also
that's always a good game.
Yeah, high scoring games are always fun, but it also shows that NFC South, these two NFC South teams, one loss, but they're still a team to fear, because you put up 37 points most of the time, you're going to win it at the end of a game each week.
Yeah.
Baltimore and Denver. Baltimore made a good comeback against the Broncos. The Broncos had a hot start, but the Ravens' defense played great against the Broncos, and they showed up, and they came back with the comeback and won. And you got Giants and Houston. It's really disappointing to see Deshaun Watson play at this level when he was playing such a high level last year before he got injured. And, you know, it's happy for, like...
Do you think he's playing conservative?
I think they're trying to play him maybe a little conservative because he did just come off a major injury. I don't know. I would like to see the old Deshaun Watson. Hope he comes back soon because he was an MVP candidate and Rookie of the Year candidate last year.
And how about the Rams? 3-0.
The Rams
The Rams
crazy.
The Rams, the Dolphins, and the Chiefs are the last unbeaten teams.
I mean, to be honest, I would expect the Rams to be undefeated.
The Rams have a phenomenal offense. We saw
And
that
their
last
defense-
year.
their
And their
defensive
defense
line.
was already
They
phenomenal.
give me fantasy points every week.
Their defensive line is
Their
crazy.
defense was already great, and then they added Aqib Talib and
Marcus
Marcus
Peters.
Peters. That just solidifies them as an automatic Super Bowl candidate.
But they just got hurt, too.
Yeah, both of them just got hurt, and they're expected to be out multiple weeks. So it's going to be really difficult on that secondary for the Rams because, you know, obviously that front is still going to be scary for teams, but that secondary is something other teams can take advantage of through the air, especially if you have a great quarterback.
Yeah, and Goff has played really well this year and last year. After his rookie year, he looked like
crap.
Yeah, it's like this guy's really the #1 overall pick, but he's played really well.
Carson
And,
Wentz came back too, which I'm
yeah,
happy about.
Carson Wentz is back, and the Bears are playing really well too. They're
It's not even the offense; it's the defense.
Yeah, that's the impact of Khalil Mack.
Like Khalil Mack, like their defense was already set to be could grow good, but when they added Mack, it just solidifies them as a I think they're gonna finish top 3 defenses in the NFL this season. Most likely #1 if they keep playing how they are right now. And then the Chiefs beat San Francisco. You know that's a good thing. Good for you, but sad for Jimmy, especially towards the end of the fourth quarter. And
the thing
Out
about
for the year
the
with
thing
the
about the
torn
Chiefs,
ACL.
the thing about the Chiefs, our defense sucks. The whole reason we're good is because we have weapons upon weapons upon weapons
on offense.
On offense. But our defense is horrible. And
you did get rid of a lot of pieces also on that
that's the
defense.
thing. I feel like that
They
was
still have some
And
good
the-
pieces on the defense, though, right?
They have some, but their defense isn't what they used to be. And this is something you should be happy about this because the Chiefs always perform great in the regular season.
Yeah.
But then out in the playoffs, especially when you're playing the best teams in the NFL in the playoff time, like you said, their defense is bad. You could score 60 points in a game. If someone scores 61 because your defense is bad, you're going to lose. Defense wins you championships.
Exactly.
The offense can win you games. Like for the most part, in Super Bowls, we see #1 offense versus #1 defense. Most time, it's #1 defense that wins.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing about the Bills last year. Great defense. The offense was
awful. And then you just got you got some help from Cincy last year. I mean, that you still went
just
9-7
made
because your defense
exactly.
did something good for you guys.
And Kansas City every year, one and done. That's always what it is. That's
guys are
always
awful.
Maybe it's different with Mahomes.
Exactly. Hopefully it's different with Mahomes because the thing that puts Mahomes and Smith, Mahomes throws for chunk plays. Smith is like a 5-yard in or out.
Yeah.
That's all he does. But
Little dink and dunk,
Mahomes is chunk plays, 35 to 50 yards in the air, no problem. He even overthrows sometimes or underthrows, and I'm just like, how do you underthrow? You have one of the best arms in the league. It's just aggravating.
Didn't you guys also lose? Back to the defense. Didn't you lose Derek Johnson and Tamba Hali too?
Yep, Derek Johnson got traded to the
Raiders, was it?
The Raiders.
That's
which
right.
Tamba's old.
And Tamba retired.
Yeah, so that's probably a big reason why the defense hasn't been as good. But when you have Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, the
Kelsey.
leading rusher, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins.
But again, once that great offense meets a star caliber defense, like say a healthy Rams or a healthy Bears,
That's a good game.
it's a good game. But
the
if
defense
the thing
can't
is
do
that,
anything, and the Rams have a better.
no, but the thing I'm trying to say
offense
is
than,
the Rams are a more complete team.
Exactly.
So they're going to come out with the wins. Or the Bears, they don't need their offense because you guys have offense.
Yeah.
But the Bears defense could hold you to 14 points. And as long as they score more than 14, 2 TDs, which isn't that hard in today's NFL, obviously because it's a fast-paced passing game, you're going to lose.
the thing with Mahomes. So before the season, I saw what they were saying for Hunt for fantasy, and it was 900 yards. I'm like, he's not running for 9. He's doing way more than 900. I don't think he will. Mahomes is all they do is throw, and occasionally
It's
they
a
do
pass-dominant offense.
I know, but it's just
You want to see more. You want to see a complete team.
Exactly.
And that's what every team wants to see.
Of course.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of teams that aren't like that. But, you know, you just got to hope and ride with the wave.
Yeah, but I obviously felt really bad for Jimmy G because, like,
I felt terrible because, like, he was great at the end of last season. And now he's playing. He struggled. He struggled a lot this season so far, and now he's got a big injury. And that's just going to set him back even more. And everyone was, like, excited. Like, no, the Niners. I hate the Niners, but the rise of Jimmy G, that was something to be excited about.
Yeah, and they lost their starting quarterback with Jimmy G and their starting running back with Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, well,
it's C.J. Beathard. All right, well, that will wrap up our NFL segment. We'll be back in 2 minutes to talk about the MLB and the playoffs that are quickly approaching.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the creative galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
All right, welcome back. So, taking a look at the MLB standings here.
Hey, aren't you going to introduce him?
Wow. My bad. We are joined now by Crescenzo Fano.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys? Hope everyone's having a good day.
You're a junior, correct?
I am a junior.
Transfer student?
Yes, I transferred from Long Island, New York, Suffolk County Community College, and now here I am, being on the Sports Hour. Glad to be here.
Nice. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
And who's your MLB team?
Yankees. You got to go with the Yankees, of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yankees too, right?
Yep.
All right, sweet.
I'm glad we're all on the same page here. All right.
So in the AL East, we have the Red Sox in first. Unfortunately, they're just way too good this year. 106 and 51.
Yeah,
yes,
they are.
106 wins.
They are. If you really look at it, they're almost the opposite of the Baltimore Orioles, who are last in the division.
Yeah.
They almost have as many wins as the Orioles have losses. Like, it's kind of sad.
Wow. Yeah, the Orioles are 45 and 100.
60 games back. You guys got it.
Oh,
60
man.
and a half games back, yeah.
How many games are left? Like 2? No. I don't
No, there's about a week left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's coming close to the playoffs now.
Yeah.
Boston will definitely be the top dog in any of the playoffs, and even AL or NL, but they've been phenomenal. Throughout the entire year, they've been historically phenomenal.
Yeah, between Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley's defense,
Yeah.
the addition of J.D. Martinez,
Yeah.
who's just
The fact that they have two
so good.
legitimate MVP candidates is scary. Like, if Mookie was on any other team, he would be the MVP of that team.
Yeah.
And if he was in the NL, I guarantee you he would probably win that. Even though, we're going to get into it more, but, like, it's insane. It's literally insane of how
And
good.
their pitching staff is deep, too.
Yeah, the pitching staff, I feel that their pitching staff, though, has some holes in it. Chris Sale hasn't proven himself in the postseason. David Price, the Yankees always kill David Price.
And he's injury prone, too.
Yeah, and he basically avoids us at this point of his career. He's been so bad against the Yankees. So the only problem I really have you know, as we're talking about playoff races, whether it's in Oakland or whether it's at Yankee Stadium, because if it's in Oakland, we have some real issues. They got to travel 3,000 miles away, and they got to not only play in the one-game playoff, but they got to travel 3,000 miles back to play Boston, essentially.
Yeah.
That's not a good situation.
That's just the bad thing about being in the same division as Boston is we might win 100 games, but we're still not going to win our division.
No, and like I was saying before, of how we're going to travel 3,000 miles back, and then we're going to go back, and it's going to be really bad for us because you know, we're going to have our number one starter pitching in that one-game wild card, and two, Oakland's not to be messed with. They have Chris Davis, who's hitting like I think 45, 46 home runs this year.
Yeah, he's leading the league. Chris Davis is one of those guys, not the Chris Davis with the Orioles. Chris Davis.
Oh yeah.
Chris Davis with the K in Oakland. He's one of those guys, one of the most underrated hitters. Yeah. He will get you 40 home runs year in and year out, and you just won't hear about him just because he doesn't have a huge contract. He's in a small market team. He's not playing for the Yankees or the Cubs or the Dodgers. And he just gets the job done every year.
If it wasn't for his batting average, I would have put him in my MVP race.
Yeah.
Literally, like, if you can't talk about Oakland without talking about Chris Davis. That's how much he's impacted this team.
Yeah. So, as we said, Boston is atop the AL East. Cleveland has already clinched the AL Central. They are 88 and 68.
They have underperformed. That whole division is underperformed.
The whole division is.
That is probably one of the worst divisions I've seen in about like 5 years.
Yeah. Considering the Twins are in second and they're 15 and a half back.
Yeah, and not only that, but like, it's not even that. It's like Cleveland has had so much expectations from the World Series and all this other stuff, and they never seem to. I saw a stat the other day. They're only, I think they're below 500 against teams that are above 500.
Really?
Yeah, I was watching it. I think on Monday Night Baseball with. I think they were facing Boston actually the other night. So.
Oh, the Sunday night game?
Yeah, maybe it was Sunday night, but it's just, I don't know what it is, but I love Terry Francona, but I think his time is out, especially how I think they've really underperformed this year. Even though they won the division and blah, 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 all this other stuff, they have too much talent to only produce 88 wins.
I think Francona is still safe. He's done a great job with the team, taking them from
nothing.
From a non-playoff team to playoffs.
You're right, but again, I feel that this team is really underperformed, like to the point where like you should have 95 wins, especially in that division, but you only have 88.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in the playoffs.
How does playoff formatting work in the MLB? Is it like the top two?
So how it works is it's going to be the top 4 teams, and then there's 2 wild cards. So the Boston, for example, won the AL East. And when they won the AL East, Yankees only can get the wild card. So there's 2 other teams. So it's the Yankees and Oakland. They've clinched the playoff berth. And how it essentially works is the top 4 teams, and then they keep moving on from there. You know, whoever wins this many games or blah, blah, blah.
So if the season ended today, let me just do a quick run through of the standings, and then I'll give if the season ended today's scenario. So Houston is leading the AL West. They are 99 and 57. Oakland is 4.5 back, 95 and 62. And then in the NL, Atlanta.
Yeah, who saw that coming?
Yeah, they have just really.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies and all these young guys. And
another team of not leading expectations is the Nationals in that division.
Yeah, they're only 79 and 78.
Well, it's not even that, but they gave up in the middle of or in the beginning of August and thinking like, you know, none of our players are, you know, we're going to restart. Well, they fired Dusty Baker in the offseason, so that, for one, might have cost you another World Series try. I know Dusty Baker hasn't been good in the playoffs, but that just proved to you right there that was a waste of a year. That was literally a waste of a year. And now you have a scenario where you should trade Bryce Harper if you're the Nationals, because what are you doing? You traded all your star players with Daniel Murphy. I believe Adam Lynn left too, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know Daniel Murphy went to the Cubs, and you know. And
now Bryce Harper might leave, and
there's been talks of him leaving no matter what. But now just get something back for him. There's no reason to keep him, and he's been fairly, even though he's good with power, he's one of the most overrated players in the MLB. He's only been good with his power. He hasn't been good with his average. He only had really 1, maybe 2 great years. Other than that, he's been average hitter. He's not a Mike Trout. He's not nothing that special.
Yeah, so Atlanta has already clinched the NL East. The Cubs are 91-65, leading the NL Central. They are a game and a half up on the Brewers, who are 90-67, followed by the Cardinals, who are 87-70. So that's a really tough division.
Yeah.
And then in the NL West, the Dodgers are 88-69, followed by the Rockies, who are 86-70, and they are only a game and a half back.
Essentially, how does a half game work? Like,
if a half game is like, just depending on how many games you play and who, like, for example, if you're beating people in your own division, it's how many division games you win. So
the halves are
like how many division games like you have ahead. So if you win, it's an extra point.
So like
if they end in a tie, it'll be going back on how many. If like let's just say both teams are the same record at the end of the season, they'll go on division they'll go on like, did you beat them this many times throughout the year? So like if say the Yankees win tonight and the Red Sox lose, we pick up a game on the Red Sox. But say the Yankees win and the Red Sox don't play, we pick up a half game.
Okay. It's confusing, but I'm starting to pick it up.
So if the season ended today, we would have the wild card, the AL wild card, the A's would be at the Yankees, and then the winner of that would play Boston, and then the Indians are going to be playing at the Astros, well, for game one at least, for home field advantage. And then for the NL, if the season ended today, it would be the Cardinals at the Brewers, and then the winner of that will play the Cubs, and then the Dodgers and the Braves. So this...
I'll tell you what, I've talked about the Dodgers, with my friends and all this other stuff, but the Dodgers, if they do not make it, because they're still very close with Colorado, was it? Or was it? Yeah. With Colorado.
They're a game and a half up on the Rockies.
Now, if they don't make it, they're firing every single person because they definitely have too much talent. Especially with getting Manny Machado and all this other stuff that's happened. Like, they should be a shoo-in for a World Series or trying to get it. And if they don't even make the playoffs, not the wild card. Like, if you get the wild card and don't make it, then, you can kind of say, yeah, we made the playoffs. But, like, if they don't make it, that everyone's getting fired.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think if you're the Indians and the Dodgers, I feel like each of those teams have had such good years in the past that one off year isn't going to cost them their jobs. But if they repeat next year, have 2 or 3 years where they're just kind of on the
I don't know about the Dodgers, though. I don't know about the Dodgers because the Dodgers went from World Series to not making the playoffs, and then you get Manny Machado when you have a weak farm system. That's a guarantee, like, yeah, we're trying to get the World Series.
Yeah.
The Indians, yeah, you can make a case for. I understand. You've been so consistent. But Dodgers, there's no reason that they should not make the playoffs.
Yeah, well, time will tell. And then for the MVP race, we already talked about Mookie Betts and J.D. Martinez from Boston. And then also Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor have been playing
phenomenal, too.
For the Indians.
Mike Trout, again, is always in the conversation.
Mike Trout, Alex Bregman.
Mike Trout is just probably the greatest baseball player of our generation right now. When he came up, he was Rookie of the Year, and then second in MVP, third, second, always right there for the MVP. Just no one talks about him because he's in Anaheim, and just his numbers alone are.
And they've really been a disappointment this year. You have Trout, you bring in Shohei Ohtani, and they're just.
Mike Scioscia is very overrated as a manager.
I think he could get fired.
He should be. I think he is leaving by the end of the season.
They've had so many years where they're just 500.
Yeah,
and this year
talent and everything.
Justin Upton, they bring in all these guys, and it's just the same every year.
We used to have Vladimir and all these other great teams. Like, they had some great teams.
Yeah.
And the fact that they don't make it, come on.
Yeah. And then in the NL for the MVP.
Wait. Before we move on, who's your pick?
Oh, okay. I don't know. I would have to say either Mookie or JD.
I would probably say JD.
They were just so good, and they were just carrying the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But real quick, before we go to break, in the NL, Christian Yelich has had an amazing year for the Brewers after getting
2 cycles.
Yeah, against the Reds, too.
So.
And him and Javier Baez are, I'd say they're
the lead. I say
they're
Christian.
in the lead, yeah. Him and Baez. And Baez has been great this year, too. All right, so that will wrap up our MLB segment. We'll be back in 2 minutes to conclude to get you caught up to date with the NBA and NHL news.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the creative galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
All right, welcome back. For our last segment, we are joined now by sophomore Meyer Mikulski. Welcome, Meyer.
What's up, guys?
And we will be talking some NBA here. So what do you guys think of the NBA offseason?
Well, the first major move was LeBron joining the Lakers, and
Yep.
I thought that was the biggest splash until DeMarcus Cousins decided to do what he did, which is...
I mean, do you blame him? He's not really scheduled to come back until late in the season, and you're going to go to a team that's almost guaranteed, if not going to be in the finals or winning.
At the same time, though, he's worth way more than $5 million.
That's what I'm saying, but that's a respect thing that, like, I enjoy, because the whole Kevin Durant situation was, like, a little, like, a lot of people hated it, but I'm like, he's doing it to get a ring. Like, LeBron did the same thing. Like, I get it. He wasn't leading 3-1 in the playoffs or whatever, that whole scandal, but, like, he went to a better situation. Like, you know, you always want to improve, so I feel that DeMarcus Cousins did the right thing. Now, in this case, though, I feel like their team is so stacked that he shouldn't have even got the opportunity. Like, if Kobe can't go to, you know, L.A., or CP3 can't go to L.A. because of some altercation in trades, DeMarcus Cousins shouldn't be able to sign there.
Yeah, that team should be banned in 2K, by the way. But
oh, yeah. Yeah, that's literally a cheat code.
So to get you caught up on some of the top free agent moves over the summer, as we said, LeBron is a Laker now. Durant re-signed with the Warriors. Paul George re-signed with the Thunder.
That was the most surprising thing.
Yeah,
I
was
was for sure not thinking he was going to sign with
we all
Westbrook.
thought he was going to L.A.
Yeah.
It's not even that, but, like, I thought Westbrook was that me guy. I still think he is, but, like, to sign Paul George was, like, a huge confidence booster, because then not only do they have, like, another guy, but, like, they can bring in free agents.
And they also picked up Schroeder, which was a good move, too.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of how Reggie Jackson was when he used to play for Thunder.
Exactly.
And then also Nikola Jokic re-signed with the Nuggets. Chris Paul and Clint Capella re-signed with the Rockets. As we said, DeMarcus Cousins is a Warrior now too, which is just an unfair team now. DeAndre Jordan signed with the Mavericks.
Yeah, I mean, after the whole debacle it had the first time, I mean, now you're going to sign with them?
He might only be there for 1 year, though. But we'll see what happens.
The contract was only...
Yeah, he's only there for
1 year, $23 million.
Oh, my God. Oh, my.
And Isaiah Thomas is with the Nuggets now too.
Don't
Jabari
sleep on the
Parker is with Chicago. What were you saying?
I said, don't sleep on the Nuggets.
Yeah,
Really?
They
The Nuggets will be a force.
Yeah.
They have talent on that team.
I mean, if Isaiah could be half of what he used to be during his like MVP race a couple of years ago, and him in Boston, that's a huge booster not only to him but like to that team. That's a huge factor.
And let's not forget probably the biggest trade that happened over the summer.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard
Yeah,
is in
to
Toronto,
Toronto.
now, and DeMar DeRozan is in San Antonio.
That was a horrible move.
Yeah, I think it was a good trade.
I think that was horrible.
Honestly,
horrible for what team?
For Toronto, because you have a guy, I get it, it's supposed to be about production and everything like that, but first of all, Kawhi is not LeBron where he literally changes the outcome. DeMar also cares about the city of Toronto like no one else. And to get rid of him like that, for maybe a rental, for maybe a slight upgrade, you know, because you don't know what Kawhi Leonard's going to be like. You don't know how much he's going to play. And with all these rumors and everything about him being a bad teammate, of him, of being so disrespectful, I lost all respect for Kawhi Leonard, for a lot of it, at least. I mean, he's got to earn it back now. He's definitely got to earn it.
The way I see it, I think that trade made them better defensively, though.
Maybe defensively, but you probably get the same offensive presence.
In the playoffs.
Maybe.
Because you don't know what you're going to get with Lowry in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
But Leonard, he's more of a consistent offensive player than DeRozan is, especially when it comes to big games.
Like I said, how much does he really want it? Because there have been facts like, oh, I don't even want to be here. Like, that was his first thing when he came to Toronto. It was like, oh, I don't even want to be here. Like, you don't do that. And especially with the Spurs, with Greg Popovich and everything. Like, that's an organization that is run like the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I never would have thought Kawhi Leonard would leave San Antonio.
Yeah, I didn't think that either. I didn't think it, but we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully it's a good fit, but I don't know. I think it's just something to wait and see.
And now, another trade that's brewing is Jimmy Butler from the Timberwolves.
You know, I'm so confused because the Timberwolves have such a good team, and they just signed Karl Anthony Towns, who, if you guys remember, that it's, you know, that was almost a trade too. He didn't want to be there. There were trade rumors on that too. So I don't know what's going on in Minnesota, but they need to get that straightened out because Andrew Wiggins has a big contract, and Karl Anthony Towns. Jimmy Butler should have a big contract, but for all of a sudden now he's looking to
But
get
the
traded.
real reason why there's trade talks is because what it sounds like is that those guys haven't been getting along with each other.
That's I would think is the only reason why that they would get traded. I don't know.
I heard that Jimmy Butler's top 3 destinations are Brooklyn, Los Angeles Clippers, and the New York Knicks.
Yeah,
I hope he goes to the Knicks.
I mean,
I'm a Knicks fan.
That would be a big boost for the Knicks if they get Jimmy Butler. Him and Porzingis together, that would be starting something. But I don't know why he would want to join the Clippers. I mean, if you're anyone,
He's thinking about the Clippers because he's thinking next year Kawhi might sign there.
I mean, that's not a bad idea if you really think about it. But I mean, we'll have to wait and see.
And as far as the Knicks, he's thinking of signing there because Kyrie Irving, he might sign there next year.
I don't know, but then he's another one too where like a lot of NBA stars are all about them. Like, it's a team, but like stars really drive the team. Like, you can go as we saw in the playoffs and in the finals, LeBron carried that team. He's like, all right, let me just carry them.
But the Warriors, they were just that good.
Yeah, they're that good where, I mean, LeBron really should. He's always the MVP, every single time.
They usually just give Finals MVP to whoever was guarding him, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even funny how good LeBron is, but on the fact of Jimmy Butler and Kyrie, I don't know, because Kyrie said that I would love to get my number retired here in Boston.
Yeah, he did say that the other day.
Like, it's always up in the air because then there's trade talks and then there's not.
You never really know with Kyrie Irving at this point.
And it's kind of scary because he's such a talented player. Like, I don't understand why he got mad at LeBron and wanted to just
Yeah,
leave,
last year I thought he was out of his mind when he requested a trade. But now that I think about it, Boston was the best move for him.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll definitely see.
And Boston, they look good on paper, especially now that they have Gordon Hayward back.
Hayward and everything like that back. I don't know, man, but
Philadelphia.
Philly?
Yeah, I feel like they messed up in the draft. I don't think they should have ever traded Mikal Bridges in the draft.
I don't know, that whole GM situation, though, too.
Oh, they have their GM now.
Now they do, but, like, he was a player 2 years ago. Like, has no experience. I mean, it is that might have ruined that success in Philly because I don't know what happened. I don't know why you would ever make a fake Twitter account and do that to your players, like, and release videos and all this other stuff. So, I don't know. Anything on hockey you want to get on?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick roundup of some of the top free agent signings. So John Tavares left the Islanders for the Maple Leafs. Big contract, 7 years, $77 million. These hockey contracts are getting bigger and bigger.
That's a good thing because they need to.
Yeah.
It's like 10 years and they'll make like $10 million or you know, it used to be really, really bad, but now it's starting to get those money and revenue.
Yeah. James Van Riemsdyk left the Maple Leafs for the Flyers. Thomas Wilson re-signed with the Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals. Dylan Larkin re-signed with the Red Wings. James Neal left the Vegas Golden Knights for Calgary. Thomas Hertl re-signed with the San Jose Sharks. Paul Stastny left Winnipeg for Las Vegas. Let's see some of these other top ones. Well, another top transaction was that the Vegas Golden Knights got Max Pacioretty from the Canadiens for Thomas Tatar.
I mean, another big news, too, is dealing with the Islanders, who they just got the guy who just won the Stanley Cup. I never heard of that before, of a guy just going from winning the Stanley Cup to probably one of the most underperforming teams in any sport, you know. But now he is really going to start up with the Islanders, and it's sad to see John Tavares leave because I feel like with those two would have meshed, that would have been a great duo.
Yeah, and now Tavares in Toronto with Austin Matthews, that's going to be a heck of a duo too.
Yeah, I mean, they're a scary team now.
Yeah.
I mean, Toronto's not to be messed with. I mean, they're usually usually, you know, pretty decent team, but now they're a serious team with Tavares on their roster.
Yeah. And then for the Sabres, we just re-signed Sam Reinhart, so that's great news for Sabres fans. We got Carter Hutton. He was one of the top free agent goalies, so that was great. We acquired Jeff Skinner and Connor Sheary. Sheary was a Penguin, and Skinner was a Hurricane.
Hey, Melissa.
We drafted Rasmus Dahlin, who's going to be a stud. Him and Ristolainen will be the top two defensemen. So I really like the way the Sabres organization is headed because we added some nice pieces to the puzzle this year. And I know we, you know, obviously probably aren't going to make a deep playoff run, but I think we can at least contend for the playoffs. And, they'll be competitive this year. And I think it'll be a nice stepping stone year, and then we're only going to get better from here on out. So, all right, that will wrap up this week's show. Once again, I'm Kevin Syracuse with Crescenzo Fano and Meyer. How do you say? Mikulski. I kept wanting to say something else. Anyways, we'll be back next Tuesday at 7 o'clock for another week of college and professional sports. Thank you. Stay tuned.